Let's not forget, Powell presided over massive interest rate cuts that inflated the stock market, helping billionaires and corporate shareholders while wages stay stagnant and wealth inequality waned. And then, during COVID, trillions in corporate bailouts, yet average people got screamed. This video acts like Powell's appointment is just a neutral footnote in Trump's presidency, but in reality, it was another chess move in an ongoing cooperative capture of our economy. Whether it's Trump's or Biden, when you keep reappointing Wall Street bankers, guess who always win?
There have been reports today that Trump is going to fire Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, which there is no process outlined to do that. The Fed is independent. They're appointed, but there is no firing process. So there's a good chance that he could try and fire him. And Jerome Powell basically tells him to go pound sand and lets the courts figure it out. But that's besides the point. So today in a press conference, they were asking about Jerome Powell, and he goes off on his usual rant about how the economy's so great and blah, 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 that the Fed should be bringing down interest rates and that Jerome Powell is the worst Fed ever. And he's like, I'm shocked that he even got appointed. Bitch, you appointed him. And every press member in that room that didn't say that to his face and push back on that, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him.
Somewhere Jake Tapper is very concerned about the president's mental decline. Keep your eyes peeled because he could use the Jerome Powell situation to try and snuff out the uproar over the Epstein stuff and try and distract, because that's all he can do. Too bad for him. It's the one thing that both Republicans and Democrats can agree on, is that we're not shutting up about this Epstein thing.
President Trump says it is highly unlikely he will fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, despite telling lawmakers in a private meeting just yesterday he was considering it. But Trump didn't just deny reports he would fire Powell. He also said this.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him. But they did.
You appointed him. Did he really not remember that? It was President Trump who elevated Jerome Powell to Federal Reserve Chair. He's the one who would put him in there. Remember the whole Rose Garden event in November 2017?
It is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
You decide that you are going to fire him? Have you drafted a letter?
No, I haven't drafted a letter.
So you didn't show a letter to Republican lawmakers last night?
No, I talked about the concept of fire him. I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should. But I'm more conservative than they are.
Are you completely ruling out the idea of firing Jerome Powell?
I don't rule out anything, but I think it's highly unlikely, unless he has to leave for fraud. I mean, it's possible there's fraud involved with the $2.7 billion renovation. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so, and we'll pick somebody that's good. I think he's not doing a good job. He's got a very easy job to do. You know what he has to do? Lower interest rates.
Had to back off when the news broke that Trump reportedly showed off a draft letter firing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell during a meeting with House Republicans this week, and even polled them on whether he should actually do it. After the stock market plummeted today, Trump lost his nerve and suddenly the White House said, oh no, we have no plans of doing it. It was just a concept. He literally said concept. Let's be clear about something. Firing the Fed chair would be a massive economic risk. Trump's mad at Powell for not slashing interest rates fast enough. But messing with the independence of the Fed isn't just some petty political spat. It's how you spook Wall Street, spike interest rates, which spikes our mortgages and loans, and risks sky-high inflation. Businesses and investors rely on knowing America's monetary policy isn't dictated by political whims. If a president fires a Fed chair simply for refusing to juice the economy on command, it signals that monetary policy, interest rates could flip with every election or even every few months if Trump decides the next chair isn't dropping rates fast enough either. There'd be zero stability. Investors would start pulling money out of the U.S. because they couldn't trust what interest rates would look like next year or even next quarter. Now, legally, a president can't fire the Fed chair without cause, like misconduct. Disagreeing over interest rates isn't enough. No president has ever tried it in modern history. Trump might be bluffing, but this is Donald Trump. You know, he often tests the waters before going nuclear. But the closer he gets to actually doing this, the more he talks about it like he did last night, the more financial markets will panic and the more investors won't want to invest in America. That's not just political drama, folks. It's playing chicken with the entire U.S. economy. Because a great nation deserves the truth. I'm John Aravosis in Washington. Trump tanked the...
Donald Trump was in the Oval Office addressing the rumors that he was trying to fire the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. Donald Trump said he was surprised that Biden appointed Jerome as Fed chair. But the gag is, Biden never did. You very much did appoint him in 2017. And side note, I can't even lie. I'm shocked too, Donald Trump, that you even appointed a white man named Jerome. So at this point, let's talk about it. What is it? Is Trump's mental declining? Is it because he tells so many lies at this point he can't remember the lies he tells? Or is it he's a master manipulator and he know he can concoct up any story and his people will believe him even though there is proof of him appointing Jerome in 2017? Or, and hold your pickle when I say this, or is it because the only time he lost the presidency was to a man and that eats him up at night? So he decides that he's going to blame all of his failures on Joe Biden.
Jerome Powell is the Fed chair. Trump does not like him. Today he was doing an interview and said that he can't believe that Biden appointed such a horrible person as Jerome Powell. That Trump was surprised that Biden would appoint such a bad Fed chair. Yeah, you know where this is going? Trump appointed him in 2017. Trump appointed Jerome Powell. Jesus.
Well, apparently I missed something this morning. While Donald Trump was out checking out where to put flagpoles on the White House lawn, he decided to call Jerome Powell a stupid person. And he was asking if he could fire Powell and appoint himself Fed chairman because he could do so much better a job. Well, chew on that one for a while, folks.
So Donald Trump today said he was surprised that Joe Biden appointed Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Who's going to tell Grandpa that he fucking appointed Jerome Powell to be Fed Chair? So why don't you tell me about that old senile guy Joe Biden again? Check out my podcast, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy, wherever you get your podcasts, and check out my writing at substack.com/@AndyOstroy.
Hey y'all. So Trump just called Jerome Powell a terrible appointment. Like he forgot he's the one who hired him. Yes, the FOTUS. Donald J. Trump nominated Jerome Powell as chair of the Federal Reserve in 2017. But now, fast forward to today, 2025, he's acting like terrible choice, disaster. I don't know who made that call. Sir, it was you. You literally made that call. See, now he's really, really mad because the Federal Reserve is spending $2.5 billion in renovations. That's right. They're fixing up their headquarters. And he's talking about it like it's some brand new scandal. Really? Really? The renovation was approved in 2020. Remember, we were dying of a global pandemic. It was under your administration in 2020. It was signed off by your own federal appointees, FOTUS. So basically, are you mad at yourself? The cognitive decline is suffocating. Now, if you're going to point fingers, sir, at least remember where you left your fingerprints.
Breaking news is...
We have big news right now. Donald Trump is now saying that he was, quote, surprised that Jerome Powell was appointed the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Here's the issue. Donald Trump was the one who appointed him. And this is raising new questions of possible mental acuity issues of the president, who is the oldest president of United States history. He was asked in the Oval Office today about rumors that he may fire Jerome Powell, and he said that he was surprised he was appointed, even though Trump was the one who appointed Jerome Powell back in his first term back in 2017. Powell's term ends in 2026. The President of the United States cannot legally fire the chairman of the Federal Reserve, which is an independent entity, independent of the executive branch. And Trump now seemingly forgets that he was the one who appointed Jerome Powell back in 2017. Serious questions are floating right now on Capitol Hill and in the White House. Spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack, linked in bio, so subscribe for free and follow along for all the news you need to know about.